Can you hear me all right, folks? No? Is that better? Somewhat? Okay. I see trouble is over here on the left side. Yes, your left, my right. Anyway, welcome this evening to Stutzmans Party on the Patio. I have the distinct privilege of coming for probably the third or fourth year in a row and talking about the new for 2017 annual plants and just a few other things that I hope you'll bear with me that I would like to present to you that might not necessarily be new plants. Again, it's very interesting to, I'm going to step back for a minute. When Jason was talking about doing vegetables in pots, that's something that we've done at home for half a dozen years or so and have been very successful. So as Jason mentioned, the bigger the pot, the better. Use lots of fertilizer, lots of water, but you'll be very, very happy with how your peppers, tomatoes can turn out in a big container as opposed to the ground. Makes it a lot easier to weed too because there are none. That's what's nice. So again, I'm Mike DeRee. I live in Wichita. I work with Jason and Ben and the staff here at Stutzmans, and they order a lot of the young plants, what we call young plants. So the little plants are the seed that Stutzmans will grow and sell to you. So part of my job is to come and show them what's new for the next year. And we already know what's new for next year, but we'll talk about that next year. So for now, we're going to talk about what's new for 2017. And I'll run through them just as quickly as I can. Really, if you have a question, I'm open to questions. Let's see if we can get it answered. That's the plant doctor, not me. That's the plant doctor. We'll be able to answer any questions you might have. So I'm going to start. Probably one of my favorite plants of all time, Angelonia. Angelonia has been on the market now probably close to a dozen years, but we see a lot of improvements from year to year. The bicolor blue that you see on here, this one right here, is actually new for 2017 and a very nice habit. The one thing you're going to see that maybe we haven't seen in the past, I'm going to try and do this, is just the ability of the plants to branch very, very well. And once they start blooming, they really never stop blooming. This one here is called Cherry Red, Archangel Cherry Red, and Cherry Red is as close to red as we have been able to come in Angelonia. The breeders are really working to get a true red. And this one will actually probably lose, it'll fade a little bit in the summer when we get into the heat, but it actually will keep the nice habit, keep blooming all summer long. These are great, great plants for Kansas, and we've been real, real successful with them. Great if you're doing a combo container to keep it in the middle, because the height on these is usually 14 to 18 inches tall. So you can work around that, or if you can put it in the back of a pot if you want the pot to flow this way. If you want the pot to be around, then you can use this in the center. But you'll really, really like Angelonia. A lot of them out there in the greenhouse. A lot of other colors. These two are just new for 2017. Again, a plant that's been around a long time. This one, Copa actually started kind of the revolution in expanding the palette of plants back in the early 90s. If there's been a downside to Copa in our neck of the woods, it's just its ability to handle the heat very, very well. So again, from a breeding focus, the breeders are really, really trying to find Copa and not only breed for it, but also select out of those that show better heat tolerance. This new one called Mega Copa White has actually kind of eclipsed every other variety that's been out there so far in heat tolerance, and will bloom more and longer into the heat and into the summer. And then we'll kick back, and I mean, if we get into triple digits in August, yes, it may kind of not bloom so much, but as soon as we cool back down, it'll come back into flower and bloom all the way till frost, a heavy frost. We've seen a real resurgence in begonias and Bossa Nova yellow. So these are called Boliviensis type begonias. But what's nice about them is they actually trail very nice. They bloom well. Yellow is pretty unique color in a begonia. So Bossa Nova yellow is new, and I think you'll really, really enjoy that. If you're good with begonias at all, this is one that you want to try, or if you like begonias. So nice thing for shade. We can breed a lot of plants that work in the sun. This is one that'll work in the shade, work on the porch. I'm trying to protect it a little bit from the wind, but if you can do that, it'll be a great plant for you. Calabricoa, I think we all know Calabricoas. But there's one company, and you see the big PW on the tag, the one company, Proven Winners, seems to always have a pipeline of new and exciting and different flower forms. So this one's called Tropical Sunrise, and it very, very nice. And the flower size actually stays nice all summer long. Sometimes you'll see different breeders, their Calabricoa flower size will shrink a little bit as we get warmer and warmer. This one will stay the course. It'll keep the variation, that variegation you see in the flower, stays very stable all summer long. This is a great plant. This is a real winner. Probably talked about sun patiens before. Sun patiens are impatiens that can go in the sun. And very, very interesting plants. They've 10 years now into the industry for sun patiens, and they've done a tremendous amount of breeding work, including the variegated foliage that you see on this one, the rose-colored flower. If you look at them closely, you'll see that there's a compact series. So within sun patiens, that's a kind of an umbrella term. You're going to see compacts, you're going to see spreading, and you're going to see vigorous. Vigorous we don't really sell very many of, but the spreading and the compacts we really do. So compacts are about 12 to 14 inches tall, about 12 inches around. But great plants. The beauty of these plants is not only will they take the full sun, if you forget to water them and they kind of droop, they'll come right back. They're amazing, amazing plants. Similar to sun patiens is, again, a different breeder, because everybody likes to get their piece of the pie. It's kind of like Ford and Chevy and Chrysler. So is one called Bounce, and this is Bounce Bright Coral. This is one color that you really don't see in the sun patiens line. So it's kind of a unique color, and I thought I'd at least point it out. And again, this one can go sun or shade, but it will probably actually bloom a little bit more in sun than it will in the shade. One other thought, I will say this with impatiens, and I might have said it last year. Impatiens, all types of impatiens, do not necessarily need a lot of fertilizer. There's a lot of plants, the Calabricoas, petunias love lots of fertilizer. These do not need a lot of fertilizer. If you have impatiens that aren't blooming well and you're using a lot of fertilizer, that's probably what's happening. They're actually getting over-fertilized. They're trying to grow, and they don't even think about flowering. So don't over-fertilize impatiens. Ipomea, sweet potato vine, and again, what's very, very interesting and fun to watch, at least from my vantage point, on Ipomea is just how the breeders have taken Ipomea and come up with all different leaf shapes and sizes. You have, and really, when the generic type, and I'll use that word loosely, but the generic type of Ipomea are very vigorous. I think you probably, if you've grown them at all, you know they can go down the pot, out the sidewalk, and you're cutting them off with the mower. And it's fun. But they've really tried to kind of bring them down into size. And so anytime you see on the tags over there where you see a Sweetheart, so this one here is Sweet Caroline, that's kind of the series name. And then Sweetheart is kind of the sub-series. But if you see Sweetheart, that is a smaller plant by nature. So it's not going to overrun your flower pot. It's going to actually play well with others. It's going to live in community well, we say. This one here is Bewitched After Midnight. So again, black. This one actually gets very big. Totally different habits. This one stays smaller and very well behaved. This one will encroach on everything you plant it with, except maybe another Ipomea like this. You would say, why would I talk about Lantana? Well, not only do they look great in Kansas and do very, very well, this one is called Lucky Red. So Lucky Red is actually new for 2017. Doesn't look so red at the moment. That's probably partially that we still don't have as quite a hot weather as we should. But in general, you're going to see the flowers come out with a little more orange and a little less red. But as that flower matures, this one's going to be one of the more red Lantanas that you're ever going to see. There's an old standby on the market called Dallas Red, but Dallas Red kind of grows probably close to 24, 30 inches tall. It's kind of a semi-shrub. You take it out in the winter with a shovel. It's one of those, it's just tough. Where these are much more behaved, grows about 12 to 14 inches tall and round, and will bloom all summer. The real beauty of the new breeding is they never quit flowering. So as one flower starts, they're coming right behind it a lot. Where with, excuse me, the older lantanas, you would cycle. They would bloom, they would cycle out of bloom, and then you just kind of have to be patient. With these, you don't have to be patient anymore because they will bloom all summer long. I bring this one out because probably the best known petunia in the world right now is Vista Bubblegum. It's a supertunia from Proven Winners, and it's all over here. And it's a nice pink, and it is a great, great plant. Within that Vista, and that's again a bit of a sub-series, within Vista there is fuchsia and silverberry. And fuchsia was always kind of the weak child, the weak sister of those three. Well, fuchsia's been improved, so now I think it will hold its own with both Vista Bubblegum and Vista Silverberry. So there's a real opportunity to mix the three, or just mix this with bubblegum and get enough of flower power out of the fuchsia that you're going to actually know you planted it. And it's, again, a very nice upgrade for 2017. What can we say about Purslane except that it works great in Kansas. If you don't even know how to grow anything, you can grow a Purslane, right? You don't have to think about it, but maybe once a week, maybe. And so again, a lot of breeding. What we'll see, I'll give you a sneak peek. What we'll see for 2018 is some striped single flowers. What we have for 2017 is a double flower. And it's a little smaller. You are giving up the size compared to the single flower, but you do get quite a few of them. And again, it's not something that from here to the back of the greenhouse you're necessarily going to see it. But if you're the type of person that gets to walk by your flowers and touch them every day and really get intimate with them, this is one that you'll really, really like. It seems like every year I talk about at least one verbena, and I'd like to talk about this one. It's called Pop's Dark Red, but mainly what I wanted talk about is the habit. You'll see this. If you were to go over to the verbena table right now, you're going to see some that are a little longer and some that have this nice little habit. And that's actually by design. That is, that's kind of the genetic code that's built into this plant from the breeder. But more than anything with verbena, if you like verbena, make sure you keep them fertilized. We talked about how impatiens don't necessarily need fertilization. Verbena loves it. And if verbena, excuse me, if verbena does not get enough fertilization, it just doesn't look good in any way, shape, or form. It quits blooming very, very rapidly. So it's a great plant. It's a little bit misunderstood, but if you like it, put it in something where you can fertilize it a lot. The next two are really very unique. So this is periwinkle, vinca, whatever you want to call it. It goes by both names. But generally we think of vinca as a six-pack over there in the flat sale, and that's still there. It's still available. But there's been some breeding into some unique flower forms and flower types here. Like this is a little double. This is the small little single flower. And at some level you think, why? Until you grow it. And once you grow it, you will be amazed at this, especially the little one. The little one will just cover like a carpet of flowers. And so, we're Americans, right? So bigger is better or something like that. But in this case, if you like vinca, try this little one. These are called soiree vincas. You'll find them over in the greenhouse as well. But very different, unique flower types. Of course, love our summers. Can't go wrong with these. I think last year I talked about Cannas from seed. So here's two new ones for this year. There's a mango, which is really a pretty corally salmon color. Very, very nice. And then there's also one called Red Flame. So that's an orange bloom with a yellow edge on it. And again, what makes these different is they are from seed. Cannas, if the old type garden cannas that you would dig and save and divide, what we've seen in that over the years is a lot of viruses have come into those. And so in order to just really circumvent the virus, we've gone to tissue culture types, which is, we'll talk about that another day. or those that come from seed. So these come from seed, work very well. They're really adaptable to the pot size that you put them in. So if you put them in, say Jason's 19-inch pot, they're going to get a certain size. If you put them in the ground, they can get up somewhere close to 4 feet. But the flowers are excellent, and the flowers actually stay really, really long. Sometimes the old cannas that we've done from tubers, the flowers aren't all that nice. These are very nice, bloom all summer. You can almost grow this as a water plant too, as a bog plant. And I know I talked about this one last year, but bear with me. Scented geranium. And this is one of those you have to treat yourself if you've never grown one of these. I snagged one off the bench. I think there was only 4 or so left. So I don't want you all over there tripping each other trying to get the last 3. But very nice. And have you smelled that? Can you smell it? Yeah, very nice. Just doesn't really bloom. It's just really a nice plant to kind of do this and do that every morning, and just love it. Put it by the back door, put it by the front door. Every time you go in or out, you can just rub your hand over and think, wow, isn't that cool? Something that I really didn't, that our company did not sell, Stutzmans, but that I was going to talk about was this, what common name for this is Foxtail Fern. Been around a long, long time. So now I'm kind of getting into some oldies but goodies. But you can just see how that has such a nice stately appearance. And these are the new fronds that are coming out. And this takes a long, long time to grow. This plant's probably 2 years old maybe already. It just grows very slow. But they are great. This is also one that you can have it outdoors all summer. You can bring it in the winter. Yes, give it a nice window. Yes, it's probably going to drop a few leaves, and you'll probably have to bring the vacuum out a time or two. But it will also come back the next year and be beautiful. It's something you can keep really, really easy. And again, just as we like the geranium where you could, this is kind of fun to feel that. But just a very, very nice plant. We're getting close. This one's a Mandevilla. If you've never grown a Mandevilla in this part of the world, there again, treat yourself to growing this plant. Lots of blooms, loves the heat. If you put it out there tonight, it would probably shiver and it'd all curl up. It wouldn't do a whole lot. But I can guarantee you that you will love this plant in the summertime. There's a bunch of them sitting in that part of the greenhouse. And it's really one of those plants that once you grow it, you're going to want it every year. Some plants you can live without, or you kind of switch up from year to year. If you grow this once, you'll say, okay, let's do that again. And you'll run in here and beat Jason and make sure he's going to have them for you. And then last but not least, it's just the succulent craze continues, and we love that. So for anyone who even struggles to, and I know that's nobody in this greenhouse, I know that. But for those of you who know somebody that struggles with plants and you'd like to get them interested in plants, we can't go wrong with succulents. Lots of really cool textures and colors and sizes over in the next greenhouse. And just, so this would be what I would encourage you to do as somebody who loves plants and thinks the world never has enough plants. If you know someone that you're acquainted with, that you work with, but just maybe you think that person ought to be growing a plant, and they say, oh, I have a brown thumb. You say, well, I have a brown thumb plant, and you show them a succulent, and that'll be great. So that's what I have. I thank you for your attention. Thanks for being here. Thanks for allowing me to be here.